Hi everybody, Jane here, and today I am doing my March TBR. Now for March, I am going to be participating in middle grade March, which is hosted by Life Between Words and Books and Jams, and I'm going to put the link to their channels below. So most of the books on my list are going to be middle grade books. Because of that, I've chosen to have a little bit of a bigger TBR and also to follow their prompts for some of the books that I chose this month. However, there are a few that are not going to be middle grade, so I'm going to go through those first. The first two are ones that were sent by an author or a publisher from Goodreads giveaway or Library Thing giveaway. And the first I have for you is The Man Who Wouldn't Stand Up. And this is by Jacob M. Apple. And I read one of his books of short stories last month, and it was a 3 out of 5 for me. So I'm curious to see how I feel about a novel from this writer. I am excited. I enjoyed his style. Some of the short stories weren't for me, but some were really, really exceptionally good. And you'll be seeing my review of that during my wrap-up. So this was sent to me by the author, and I do look forward to reading it. Thank you very much. I don't really know what it's about. There's not really a synopsis on the back. It just kind of says what he's written before. So I'm going into this kind of blind. All right, the next one I have for you is actually still in the envelope, so I'm not sure what it is. So we're going to open it together and we're going to find out. And again, these two will be at the top of my list because, you know, the publishers and writers send them to me and I really appreciate that. And this is Some of My Friends: The Daunting Challenges and Untapped Benefits of Cross-Racial Friendships. So I live in an extremely not diverse town. When I grew up, I think there was a Vietnamese family and a Black family in our town. If there were more than that, I didn't know. So learning to create cross-cultural friendships has been something that has been a learning curve for me. I did move to Columbus from a smaller town in Ohio, and that helped a lot because then a lot of my coworkers were from Africa or were from South America. So I do have some diverse friends, but it's something that I definitely want to work on more. In my smaller town, so there's just not as many people around. So I'm hoping this book can kind of give me some more insights and, if nothing else, be a really interesting read about diverse friendships, cross-racial friendships. All right. The last book I'm going to be reading that is not middle grade is my Kindle read for the month. For any of you who watched my start of the year video, one of my goals was to read a Kindle book every month. And for this month, I chose the book, The Perfect Child. And it sounds like it's a thriller. The cover does not show on my Kindle, so I will post a cover here. So it sounds like this is a thriller about a family who adopts a little girl who has some serious mental health issues. And the mental health issues threaten to tear the family apart. I'm really excited to read that, mostly because a couple things. Number one, I really always thought I would adopt, and I still might at some time. After I got divorced, that was one of the things that I had looked into was foster care adoption, but I ended up remarrying fairly soon after my divorce the first time. Got divorced again, so, but yeah, it was something I planned on doing, and then it wasn't the right time, and then it was something that me and my second husband were looking at doing, and then we had biological children through fertility treatments, but still down the road when my kids are grown, adoption is something that I feel very strongly about. So I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit nervous because obviously I want to think of adoption positively and not be swayed by this horrible story. Okay, so the next books on my TBR. These are all middle grade. And one of the challenges with the middle grade readathon is a book with a non-human main character. And for that, I've chosen a bear called Paddington. Now, also, if you watch my first video of the year, one of my other goals was to read a book from my shelf. And Paddington has been on my shelf for a while. It's one that I've meant to get to and just never have. It is about a family who adopts a bear. I don't really know much about that other than he's a lot of trouble and he gets into all kinds of predicaments. So I don't know how long I've had this and I don't know why I've never read it before, but it's one that I've always wanted to read and I'm going to get my chance. This one is also from my shelf and also with a non-human main character, and that is The Secrets of Nim. And I don't think I've ever seen the movie. I know there is an animated movie about this, but I've never seen it. Again, one that I've had for a long time and just never quite got around to. I'm not entirely sure what this is about other than mice save the day. So I love rodents, so I'm very much invested in this. This next book does not fulfill any of the requirements, but it just looked really cool and is also from my shelf, so I'm doing 3 books from my shelf this month if I can, and I'm really stoked about it because it looks fun. And that is Fly By Night. And all the books in this world are banned. So, by the way, this is it looks like it's by Frances Hardinge. So this book, I don't know much about it other than it is about a futuristic world or a fantasy world. I think it's futuristic though, where books are banned. Love books? Love books about banned books. I'm excited. The next book on my list is the read-along for the readathon, and that is Sweep, Story of a Girl and Her Monster by Jonathan Auxier. And I don't know a lot about it. I believe it's about a Victorian child who has imaginary friends and who's a chimney sweep. I'll know more when I read it, but I'm really excited to get started. All right, the last 4 are prompts from the middle grade March. I'm in the wrong month. It's been cold and snowy outside. It feels like November. I'm ready for March though, for real March, for like spring flowers and stuff. All right, one of the prompts was to read a fantasy. So I chose The Secrets of Bearhaven by K.E. Roshi. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's what we got. And this is about a boy whose family runs a bear sanctuary, but these bears aren't your typical bears. They speak, they play video games, they are very human. So I'm really excited to read this, like insanely excited to read this because I love the idea of this kid going into this world where suddenly bears are, basically human. The next book on my list is for the prompt for diversity. It was read a book with diversity in it, and they didn't care what kind, so I chose A Blind Guide to Normal, and in it, by Beth Rabel. And it is about a boy who was at a blind school because I don't think he's completely blind, but I think he's vision impaired. And he is trying to go to a normal high school, and he's having some struggles to adapt and adjust to this normal school. And I'm assuming they'll make some kind of, accommodations for his vision problems, but I don't know. But it sounds like it's a really rough transition, and I'm excited to read it. I think this is going to be really interesting to read about somebody who is struggling to go from a school for the blind to a typical high school. The next book is for the prompt, A Book Written in Verse. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about this book, and it almost seems bad that I am because of what it is. But it is called To Stay Alive. And it is by Skila Brown. And this book is written in verse, and it is about being part of the Donner Party. I figure most people know what that is, but just in case you don't. The Donner Party was a group that was traveling over the mountains. Family is traveling across the mountains and they get hit by a blizzard and people die and people end up having to eat each other. I was really fascinated by the Donner Party as a teenager because it was this horrible thing that happened in history. And I'm really excited in a really perverse way to read about this story through the verse. So, not something I would expect to find a book written in verse about. So I'm pretty excited. And the last challenge was to read a book that was based on a true story or that was nonfiction. And I chose Dewey the Library Cat. And this is apparently a true story about a cat that comes into people's lives and they adopt him and he becomes a library cat. And I guess there's all these pretty pictures of him and I'm really excited. You guys know I love dogs. And I do love dogs a little more than cats. I definitely classify myself as a dog person over a cat person, but I certainly love cats too. I love animals is really what it is, I guess. But I'm really excited to read this. I think the kitty's cute, and I love stories about cats that do amazing things. I've read cats that lived in hospices and stuff like that, and so a library cat, I'm all down for that. So that is the stack of books I am going to be reading. Turn those around in fairness, because I'm so coordinated today. So this is the stack of books plus my digital book that I want to read in March. And it's a fairly big TBR. I think I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 books. And my goal last month was only 8, and 8's going to be kind of my normal. But because these are middle grades, I feel like most of them will be fairly quick reads. We'll see. And if I don't get to all of them, I'll just read whatever I miss out on next month. But I do want to at least finish the books that the publisher sent me and then the books for the prompts and sweep. So I would love to hear if you're participating in middle grade March, what are you reading? If you're not, what are you reading? Feel free to comment below and also tell me if you've read any of these books and what you thought. Like and subscribe. Social media is down there. And this is Jane, and I post videos Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. See you next time.